welcome to This Week on Main Street. I'm Chris Owens, along here with Perry Williams, our president of the board of directors for Noblesville Main Street. And boy, what a week it was.
Absolutely. I know I did nothing on Sunday. I'm proud to say that. I looked at my Fitbit and it had pretty close to 19,000 steps that day. As we started Saturday morning preparing for the street dance at 6:30 in the morning, marking the chalk marks on the pavement downtown.
So, yeah, our vendor notification and vendor booths and all that we did. Hey, we weren't able to be here with you a week ago just because of the pace of everything last week. So go back to Monday, July 4th, and tremendous effort by the Parks and Rec staff in the city, the street department, the fire department, and police department in preparing for the annual parade, featuring Bruce Hitchcock as our grand marshal. We're also joined by Governor Pence and Congresswoman Susan Brooks, among about 60 other parade entries. And we were fortunate enough that the weather held for that event. For most of that event, we caught a little rain in there. Of course, Kathy joined us as well, and so nice.
Representative Cook was there. Tony Cook was there too. So several of our councilmen were around. So
good turnout, and especially with the challenging weather, good turnout by the crowd along the parade route, and great response to that. And then everything went well that evening for the fireworks and the festival, sponsored by IDI out at the high school. Then we kind of rolled into the week, and we had another successful Meals from the Market event Thursday evening. Chef Rick did a great job, had an herb-crusted chicken this time with, I'm trying to think everything that he had. He had fresh corn fritters made from my dad's sweet corn. We had some wine from Black Hawk Winery. Our friends at Deer Creek Brewery were out, and great time again in the South Alley as we look to really engage those alleyways and look to promote some of the unique opportunities we have in downtown Noblesville, like highlighting our market vendors from the Saturday Farmers Market. We were fortunate enough to have John Gilmore out that night from Logan Street Sanctuary, and John had some beautiful acoustic music playing in the background. We have 2 of those events left. Unfortunately, they are both sold out, but looking forward to just having the opportunity to entertain some folks who don't always make it to downtown Noblesville in that unique fashion. And then, of course, we touched lightly on it, but Saturday was the big one. It's our largest annual event. It was the 25th annual street dance presented by our friends at Riverview Health and the city of Noblesville. I jokingly said to someone at the end of the night, I should retire. And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, because we'll never do better than that from a weather standpoint. Right. I don't think it was absolutely beautiful out there, and low 80s most of the evening once the sunset got into the higher 70s. But again, that core group that I mentioned earlier, the Parks Department, the Street Department, Police and Fire, and our volunteers from Noblesville Main Street just did an outstanding job. With both events, we were joined by a group from Noblesville First United Methodist, and can't say enough to those people for volunteering their time. Also to our friends at Restoration Church, came in at the end of the event and helped tear down. And that's really, I don't think they even understand how helpful that is, especially having been running since about 6 o'clock that morning. Your legs are feeling it. I didn't have my Fitbit on, but I had my phone with me most of the day, and so when I looked up the stats, I was somewhere around, I think last year I had 29 miles in. I was right around 26 this year. And I don't know where I slacked because I felt like I moved the whole time, but we'll see if we can get that maybe north of 30 miles next year. But just a tremendous day.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I'll have to say is it's amazing, and Mayor Ditzler and Vice Mayor Cook have to be thrilled of how our group, the Noblesville Main Street, the Parks and Rec, and the city work together on 2 of the biggest events of the year in the 4th of July celebration and the street dance. I mean, I get the opportunity to stand back and take in all this stuff, and you guys do all the hard work and to do it all, and it's amazing how you guys have worked together and to pull off these events. And it all started a couple of years ago when you helped in a bed race, and now it's everybody helping each other, and that's what it's all about. So
it's a very cohesive team, and it's a team that's dedicated to safety and the community. And so when you put everyone's safety first, obviously police and fire take the lead on that, but everybody watches everybody's back. We're all monitoring the weather, and there's a great amount of communication that happens even before we go to shut down the street for the event. Certainly, Mayor Ditzler and our Deputy Mayor Steve Cook have a lot to be proud of on their staff.
Oh, absolutely. And when you and I got up there around back up there again around noon after we had been to the farmers market, and you actually even mowed your yard, didn't you?
Yeah.
So because he can't sit still. But anyways, while we were helping set up for that night there at noon, Rick Russell was making his comb of the area and flower beds and everything, and that because safety is first, and security, and make sure that we're not going to have any problems during the evening.
Now, I do want to take a moment to climb up on my soapbox, if I can. And in this day of social media, I think criticism and unwarranted criticism of events happens a lot more because it's just easier.
It's easy.
It's easy to sit on the couch and type a complaint than it necessarily is to address something in person. There has been some concern about the appearance of the square by some people after the event, and certainly that will be discussed. I had no issue with the way the square looked, but apparently there's some concern about that moving forward. So that will be addressed in our recap meeting, and we'll review some things with all departments to make sure that this event is not a negative impact on downtown Noblesville. Now, that said, there's some tact in going to how you provide that comment. And I think the delivery and the mindset with which it's delivered is paramount. So just as the host organization for this event and several large events, and as the chair, the person directly responsible for most of those, I think it's imperative to state that safety is our utmost concern, and we are constantly reviewing our policies of how these events are executed and the cleanup from them, as well as the setup for them. So I'm off my soapbox now. If people have questions or would like to learn more, certainly feel free to contact our office.
And the one thing that Chris, we had a meeting actually just a couple days before the street dance, and as we well know, as a nation, there was a lot of things that happened in cities all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we had some special concerns going into the street dance. I know you and I and many others were very, very concerned about making sure that it was a safe place, and that's our number one goal. And I feel like that our approach to that was very good. And as far as we have to adjust, because our world is ever changing. Mm-hmm. Not only what we do as a street dance or as a event coordinators, they're changing constantly.
Yeah. Maybe I should climb back on my soapbox for a minute too there. In my opportunity to address the crowd on Saturday evening, I made a couple statements, and I hope it wasn't lost or just dismissed as political. It was a tough week for our country in several areas of our country last week, no question about it. And my hope Saturday from that event was people with differences, people that weren't necessarily alike, didn't look alike, may not think alike. I even said it Thursday in our meal at the market. You're sitting at the table with people that have likely a different religious view or a different political view or a different view on things in society. Heck, you may not even like the same sport teams. But you know what? There's a common thread that has all those people together, and it's that event. My hope Saturday was that people who were different found a common interest in food, music, entertainment, whatever that was. That's kind of the heartbeat of our organization.
And that's why we work so hard. And actually, there's been people make comments about, it seems like it's so long and everything. But there's reasons behind, the expanded hours of, because we want to get everyone involved. And 10, 11 o'clock is not a good time for our young people.
No.
Okay. To be out and about. And so that's why we start the kids zone at 4 o'clock and music and things like that, because we want everyone involved.
I'm glad you mentioned the Kids Zone. Colts in Motion and the Pacers Fan Van were two elements that we introduced as part of that this year. I received feedback from the Colts in Motion folks, and I've got some history there with the team that those people staffing that didn't necessarily know, but they were just raving about the success of the event, about the exposure that it created for them. And this is one of our professional sports teams in the state that stood up and took notice of what was happening. So I think you're right. I think that as the event grows, obviously our concern is making it safe and making it better. You really, everybody wants to know attendance. How do you estimate attendance? Well, we kind of try to take a snapshot of one area of the event, average that out over really the 5 or 6 different areas that we have as part of that event, and then multiply it by half-hour segments. If I've completely lost you, I understand, but that's about the best way that we have, and our estimation is probably around 18,000 showed up on Saturday for the street dance. And
good crowd for the movie.
And the movie was well attended. Again, the weather obviously helped. I know that hasn't always been the case. But that said, want to say thank you to a few of our sponsors. Primrose School was the sponsor of the Kids Zone, Primrose School of Noblesville, and we appreciate that. Again, the title sponsors were Riverview Health and the city of Noblesville. We had the Farmers Bank as our presenting sponsor for the business showcase, as well as Miller Consulting Group. We had patron sponsors in Smith's Jewelers and the Logan Village Mall. Logan Street Sign and Banner sponsored our movie, which was Minions, one of my kids' favorites, and then Noblesville Trophies sponsored our car show. I had a good turnout for that. I hope I haven't missed you. Saxony was our stage sponsor. Alexander's provided the ice cream for another
And what a great event that was.
successful
Man, the
ice cream
kids were-
event. You're just happy because there was leftovers this year.
Yeah, that's right. I'm amazed, especially in the younger group, of how fast those kids could eat that ice cream. And in the first one, I guess, was what, 3 to 10 or something like that.
Somebody, I think it was in the oldest age bracket, put down 4 of those things.
Yeah.
And what's the time frame? 45 seconds or
Yeah,
a minute?
yeah.
Man, that's something to strive for, I guess.
yeah.
But that's probably enough about the street dance. It was a successful event, but it doesn't mean that we're done. It's one of the key events of summer, and look forward to seeing that continue in years to come. Now, our next large event, which will bring probably about 5,000 to 7,000 people downtown, is coming up on Friday, July 29th, and that's in conjunction with Noblesville Schools and the Back to School Bash. We're already talking about school. So it'll be 5 to 8 p.m. and kind of the same footprint, if you will, that the street dance takes. We'll close Logan Street between 8th and 10th, and we'll close 9th Street between Connor and Clinton. We'll have all kinds of activities out there for kids, chance to interact with several of the sports teams and clubs and activities. There'll be some child or some kid-themed booths that are out there, vendors, working to secure even more food vendors for that event this year. And it has changed a little bit. There won't be the same school supply distribution. We've kind of talked through that as a team, and so looking forward to that event.
Yeah, and that's another great event. And if it's like many of the other, the last couple events we've had of the Back to School Bash, is it brings people downtown that don't normally come downtown, which is a thrill for us.
That's right. Well, we talk about it quite a bit in our board meetings, that it's probably easy for some of those folks that may be out of the Promise Road area to identify with Fishers, just geographically based on where they are, or maybe out in the Hazeldale area to identify with Carmel. The hope is that we bring them downtown and show them this unique historical asset that we have around the courthouse square. That's kind of been the other thing that has consumed my time since the street dance. Not that this is all about me, but we were fortunate to be awarded a bicentennial grant through Hamilton County Tourism and the State Bicentennial Commission, and have actually been shooting over the course of the past 2 days with our friends at Deliberate Media a video, a then and now video, which will debut before the October event, hopefully much before the October event, via our social media channels, highlighting a few of our historical buildings in downtown Noblesville, getting a look at what it used to look like versus what it looks like now, and kind of a little bit of the story, the evolution of that. So I'm very excited to see that matriculate and come to fruition, and be excited to push that out when we do. And gosh, we're talking duck race now as well. We debuted duck race tickets on Saturday, and had a really good response at the street dance. So those will be distributed to our board members this week. I've got yours over there.
Good,
so
good.
If anybody's looking for tickets to the duck race, be sure to hit
Call Perry Williams.
He's looking forward to getting his. If you just sell them out, I'm going to give you more.
Yeah, that's okay though.
But they are $5.
It takes the pressure off of you when you get your first 50 going.
That it does. Perry will have them out at our farmers market, as will other members of our board of directors.
All right. There's one sold.
Jim Wofford has stepped up to buy his first ticket. They are $5 a piece, and that event this year is coming up on Saturday, September 10th. I believe it will be from 3 to 7 p.m., and we'll have kind of the same footprint we have for that there next to Courtney's Kitchen, who will have food and a beer garden, of course, live entertainment, and the duck race will take place around 5 p.m. The price structure has changed this year. I won't bore our audience with going into what that looks like, but we would encourage you to read the rules on the bottom of the ticket. The other big change this year is you do not need to be present to win. So it's a little change from years past, and you talk about balancing all these dynamics of an event. I think when the duck race was initiated, the thought was that would bring people downtown, and rightfully so. With the pull on people's time between youth sports and school sports and music and all these extracurricular activities, it makes it a little tough for everybody to be there. And so as a committee, we made the choice this year, and think it will actually behoove all of our participants, everyone that's interested. So the notification process will happen on site. We also, once those ducks cross the finish line and we have the list of numbers, we will immediately publish those on our social media. So good reason to go follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Noblesville Main Street on Facebook, and at Main Street on Twitter. And boy, after that, we're looking at a busy fall. We've got the Old Mill Festival the week after the duck race. Of course, we've got music and all that jazz concerts coming up in August and September. Beards and Brews coming up on October 1st. Excited to get that team together and plan the third of those events. And then we'll have my favorite First Friday with the Soup Cook-Off and the Fall Festival. The nice thing about that is the temperature will be a little cooler than it is right now. So we were fortunate Saturday, but somebody turned the heat back up.
Yeah, the heat's on in the kitchen now.
It is. And then, just speaking about the rest of the year, we'll do First Friday events coming up in November and December. I'm excited for November. I'm going to compete in my first half marathon, so it'll be nice to get that out of the way. But then, of course, we've got the turkey trot coming up Thanksgiving morning. So my hope is that my training for the half marathon carries over, and I'm able to place in my age division the turkey trot. And then, of course, we'll have the tree lighting and ice sculptures that Friday after Thanksgiving. And Small Business Saturday, we'll be announcing details of a promotion coming up that we're actually the lead partner with American Express for our community. And we'll do kind of a community concierge concept. Last year, you and I spent some time outside Mateo's in the alley.
Some cold time.
Yeah. We may add a heater this year or two. But I think it was a great opportunity for us to help not only Noblesville residents, but other folks, other visitors to our community connect with our downtown merchants. So we're halfway through the summer, but there's still a lot to do and a lot ahead. If you'd like to learn more, our website is noblesvillemainstreet.org, and again, social media, our Facebook page is probably the easiest way to do so. We've covered most of our time for today.
Yeah, I wanted one last thing here. from me, as the president of Main Street, I appreciate the job you did last week. I know you surrounded yourself with a lot of great people, as Brandon Bennett said on Facebook, but you did do that, and I thought all 3 events last week were outstanding, and we appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you. I hope it's very apparent that I take pride in the job that we do as an organization, the service that we provide our community, and look forward to seeing that desire to serve the community grow as we grow the organization. So thanks for joining us for this week on Main Street. For Perry Williams, I'm Chris Owens. We'll see you next week.